In this video, we will learn to solve triangles that are not right triangles, in other words, oblique triangles, and we will be mostly using the law of sines to help us do that. Now, here's the law of sines. The law of sines says that if you make a fraction out of the sine of an angle divided by the opposite side, that should be the same for all of the angles. So the sine of angle B over side B will equal the sine of angle C over side C. All three ratios will be equal. Now, when I talk about solving a triangle, I'm talking about finding any unknown sides or angles. So when we talk about solving the triangle in problem number 9, there are three things that we need to find. We need to find the measure of angle C. We need to find side, well, I'll call it side A. I started to say we need to find CB, and that's true, but we should get comfortable with our notation. The side across from angle A, we will call it lowercase a. So we need to find that. And so this side would be lowercase b. So these are the three things that I hope to find. Let's start with angle C. The angles inside of a triangle all add up to 180. So if I start with 180 and I subtract the two angles that I'm given, 61 and 47, that should give me the measure of angle C. So I get 72. So the measure of angle C is 72 degrees. Now, that was going to be important because if I want to do the law of sines, I need an angle and a side that are across from each other. So I can set up my first ratio. So now I can say the sine of angle, the 72 degree angle, divided by the side across from it, 13, should equal the same ratio if I do any other angle. So for example, let me go ahead and do angle A. Okay, and I will call this side A, as I mentioned. So these are across from each other. So I should be able to say the sine of 47 over side A. These should be equal. So this is an equation that I can solve right now. I will just cross multiply. So this will give me A sine 72 is equal to 13 sine 47. All right, I did this diagonal and then this diagonal and set them equal to each other. Now I'm trying to get A by itself, so I will divide both sides by sine 72. So that crosses out. So this will give me the length of side A, 13 sine 47 over sine 72. So I type all of that into my calculator, and I hit enter, and I'm getting 9.996. So this would round to 10.0. So 10.0 meters. Now for B. So I'm just going to erase this so it's not getting in my way. And so side B is over here. Now again, these are across from each other. So I should be able to set up another ratio just like I did before. I'll start with the same ratio that I had last time, using the 13 and the 72 where I had both numbers. So setting that up again, the sine of 72 over 13. But this time, I'm going to set it equal to this new ratio where the sine of 61 will be over b. And I'm going to solve this the same way. So cross multiply, and I will have b sine 72 is equal to 13 sine 61. I'm trying to get b, so my next move would be to divide both sides by sine 72. Alright, so these will cancel out, and now I've got b by itself. So I'm just going to put this in my calculator. So this is how it would look in the calculator. I hit enter, and I find out that the side is 11.955. Alright, this would actually round up to 12.0 if I'm going to round to the nearest tenth. Okay, so for b, I'm going to go ahead and put 12.0 meters. And that's it. I found the three things that I was missing, mostly using the law of sines. All right, number 10, we are missing an angle. So the measure of angle C, and we are missing side B, the side that's across from angle B, and we're missing side C across from angle C. So these are the three things that we are going to need to find. So the total sum of the angles in a triangle is 180 degrees. So I'm going to start off by subtracting from 180, and I'll find the missing angle. So if I do 180 minus 61 minus 47, that's going to give me the measure of angle C. That's funny, those are actually the same numbers that we had in our previous problem. So as expected, it turns out to be 72 degrees, just like last time. Okay, now side B. Let's go ahead and try to find side B. If I want to find side B, the first thing I will have to do is go ahead and I'm going to use this ratio that we definitely know. I think I'm just going to switch to purple. So using the law of sines, the sine of 61 over the opposite side 12, that ratio should be the same for any other pair of angle and opposite side. So here's side B over here. So these two kind of go together. They're across from each other. So this should equal the sine of 47 divided by B. If I cross multiply this, I get B sine 61 is equal to 12 sine 47. And then if I divide both sides by sine 61, that's going to look like this. All right, so at that point, these cancel out, and I'll just have B by itself. So basically, if I put all of this into my calculator, it's going to give me the value of B. And that came out to be 10.0. All right, now I need to find side C. So here's side C over here across from angle C. Now remember, earlier we found that angle C was 72 degrees. I am going to need that now. So if I use the same ratio that I used last time, which was the fact that sine of 61 over 12 should equal the other ratios. Then this time I'm going to have to do the sine of 72, because that's the one that is across from C. And again, I will cross multiply. So this will give me C sine 61 along this diagonal, and that will equal 12 sine 72 multiplying this diagonal. Then it's time to divide both sides by sine 61. All right, so those cancel each other out. So I'm just going to put this in my calculator, and that should give me the value of side C. And that turned out to be 13.0. Units, I should be saying that this is meters and this is also meters. So that is the final answer for problem number 10. Problem number 11. We are missing two angles and a side. So we are missing the measure of angle A. Going to have to find that. We are missing the measure of angle B. We will need to find that. And we are missing side A. All right, those are the three things that we will need to find. So what we definitely have is this, all right? We have an angle, and then we have the side that is across from that angle. So for the law of sines, we will certainly be using that ratio. So we can say the sine of 109 over 22 should equal each of the other ratios. So we'll definitely start with that. Now, for our next ratio, the only other number we have is this 13. And this 13, side 13, is across from angle B. So this, let me just avoid the 109 so you don't think that's part of it. I'm matching up these two now. So the sine of angle B divided by 13 is the ratio that should equal the original ratio. So I am going to solve this by cross multiplying to get the sine of B by itself. Actually, I'm not going to cross multiply per se. I just want to get rid of the 13. So the easiest way to get rid of the 13 would be to simply multiply both sides by 13. Cross multiplying would cause me an extra step. So these are going to cancel each other out, and now I have the sine of B by itself. Okay, so at this point, I know that 13 sine 109 over 22 is equal to the sine of B. If you have a trig function and you need to find the angle, so I have the sine of B, but I want to find angle B, then what you need is the inverse trig function, because the inverse trig function is the angle whose sine is all of this. So if I want to find angle B out of this, I need to find the inverse sine of this entire expression. So that's what I'm going to do. All right, I am not showing the calculator for every problem, but I think I'll go ahead and show my calculator steps this time. So if I want the inverse sine, I'm going to do second sine for the inverse. Then I really need a fraction in here. So I'm going to hit alpha y equals and just hit enter for option number 1. Now I've got fraction going. So I need 13 sine 109, so 13 sine 109. And that was over 22, I believe. My memory is horrible, so I'm going to check to be sure. So now I've got the inverse sine of all this. So this should give me the angle. So the angle is 33.96 degrees. So this, if I round to the nearest tenth, this would be 34.0. So the measure of angle B is approximately 34.0 degrees. So I could actually go ahead and find the measure of angle A right now if I wanted to. Okay, if I find the measure of angle A, I could subtract from 180. So if the measure of angle B is 34.0, if I subtract these two from 180, that'll give me the measure of angle A. However, you know what? I have changed my mind about rounding this to the nearest tenth because I'm looking ahead and I see that I'm going to have to use this value to find, when I find the measure of angle A, I'm going to have to use that to find side A. And if I'm going to have to use a decimal that I found, I don't want to round it to the nearest tenth. I want more decimal places than that. So let's go ahead and keep 3 decimal places. So I'm going to go ahead and write down 33.967. I'm going to keep all of those good decimals. All right, so instead of putting 34.0, I'm going to put 33.967. All right, that will help my other answers to be more accurate. Okay, so when I subtract from 180, I'm going to do 180 minus 33.967 minus 109. So that's giving me 37.033. degrees. All right, so I'm going to keep all of those decimals. So that's going to make me more accurate when I find side A. So now I know that the measure of angle A is 37.033 degrees. So now I can go ahead and find side A like this. So I'm going to use the same trig ratio that I used before. All right, the sine of 109 over 22. All right, law of sines. And but now if I want to find side A, I now have angle A. So I can set this equal to the sine of angle A, 37.033, over side A. That's why I kept all these decimals, because I have to use it to find something else. And just like before, I'm going to cross multiply, so I will have A sine 109 is equal to 22 sine 37.033. And now I'm going to divide both sides by sine 109. So these will cancel each other out, and that will just leave me with A. So I'm just going to put all of this in my calculator, and I'm going to do that off camera. So this is going to give me 14.2 0, 1, 4. And these are miles. So that would be the answer to problem number 11. Problem number 12. We are missing angle B, so we're going to need to find the measure of angle B. And we are missing side C, so we'll need to find that. And we are missing side A. So these are the three pieces of information that we will need to find. Let's start with angle B. That's the easiest. The sum of the angles in a triangle are 180. So if I subtract both of these from 180, that will give me angle B. So I'm just going to do that off camera. So I did 180 minus 41 minus 53, and I got 86. So the measure of angle B is 86 degrees. So that just leaves side C and side A. Let's start with the ratio that we definitely have. Thanks to the fact that we have angle B now, then that gives us this ratio that we can make for the law of sines. So according to the law of sines, if I do the sine of the angle divided by the side that is across from that angle, that should be the same for the other sides and angles in the triangle. So what shall I find next? For some reason I wrote C above A, so I guess I'm doing C next. Alright, so I should be able to make another ratio by saying the sine. Oh, why did I circle the 35? The 35 is a side, not an angle. Silly guy, silly goose. Alright, side C is across from the 53-degree angle. So this will be sine of 53 over C. So a little cross multiplying is going to give me C sine 86. Alright, this diagonal is equal to 35 sine 53. That's this diagonal. And then dividing both sides by sine 86, so these will cross each other out, and this is going to give me side C. So I'm just going to put this in my calculator off camera. So that gave me that C is 28.020 yards. So now I'm going to go back and find side A in the exact same way. So the ratio that I'm going to use now will be sine 41 over A. And of course I'll use the same initial ratio that we had before. So I will say sine 86 over 35 is equal to, but this time I'll do sine 41 over A. So I will cross multiply and I will get A sine 86 is equal to 35 sine 41. So then I divide both sides by sine 86. And these cross each other out. So that's going to leave me with side A. I'm going to enter this into my calculator off camera. And that is 23, I wanted blue. Stand by. That's going to bother me. Okay, 23.018 yards. So that will be the answer to number 12. Now, for problem number 13, we are missing the measure of angle A. We are missing the measure of angle C. And we are missing side C, across from angle C. So these are the three values that we will need to find. Now, the one pair of values that we have for the law of sines is that we have this angle and the side across from it. So we will definitely use those. So let's start off setting up the law of sines. So the sine of 75 over 28 will equal whichever other pair we want to do next. Well, the only other number we have right now is this 26, and that is across from angle A. So let's go ahead and do that. So we have the sine of angle A over 26. These should be equal. Now I need to get sine A by itself, so I am going to multiply both sides by 26. That will cancel these out, and that's going to get sine A by itself. Okay, now I'm going to put, no I'm not. So I need to, if I want the angle out of this, I need to do the inverse sine, because the inverse sine is the angle. So the inverse sine of all of this, all right, 26 sine 75 over 28. The inverse sine of all of that is going to give me the measure of angle A. So I'm going to put this into my calculator. And normally I don't show it, but I think I'm going to go ahead and show it this time. Okay, so second sine gives me the inverse sine. Alpha, y equals, enter, gives me a fraction, and 26 sine 75. So 26 sine 75 over 28. So I'm getting 63.758, going to round up, 63.758. degrees. Okay, so that's the measure of angle A. Okay, we can go ahead and find the measure of angle C now, because all of these three angles need to add up to 180. So if I take 180 and I subtract 63.758, and I also subtract the 75, all right, that leaves me 41.242 degrees. Okay, so that is the measure of angle C. Okay, now that puts me in a good position to find side C, because now I can do this ratio for the law of sines. Of course, I'm going to start out with the same ratio I used the last time. So I'm going to still do sine 75 over 28. So this time I'm going to do the sine of angle C, so the sine of 41.242 over side C. So a little cross multiplication gives me C sine 75 is equal to 28 sine 41.242. And I need to divide both sides by sine 75 in order to get side C by itself. So these will cancel out, and that will leave C. So I'm just going to put all of this in my calculator, and that will give me side C. I'm going to go ahead and do that off camera. And here I'm getting 19.110. Okay, and these are feet. All right, I actually had 19.1098, but I had to round up. So this is it. This is my answer for number 13. Let's see, on number 14, we are missing the measure of angle A. We are missing the measure of angle B. And we are missing side A. So those are the three quantities that we will need to find. Now the one quantity that we are given, well, the one pair of quantities, is this. So as I begin the law of sines, I will start with that. Sine of 96 over the 38 should be the same as any other pair of angle and opposite side. Let's see, the only other number we're given is the 23, and that's across from angle B. So let's go ahead and set it equal to that ratio. So I'm going to say the sine of angle B over the 23. So I don't really need to cross multiply. I'm trying to get sine B by itself. The easiest way to do that is just to multiply both sides by 23. So these will cancel each other out. So I have the sine of angle B is equal to all this. If I want angle B, I'm going to need to do the inverse sine. So what I need to do is I need to find the inverse sine of all of this. So the inverse sine of 23 sine 96 over 38. The inverse sine of all of this will give me the measure of angle B. So I'm just going to put all of this in my calculator off camera, and then I will have the measure of angle B. All right, so rounded to the nearest thousandth, I have 37.010 degrees. So that's the measure of angle B. So with that, I can go ahead and find the measure of angle A. So I'm going to take both of these and subtract them from 180, because the total sum of all the angles in a triangle add up to 180 degrees. So if I subtract these two from 180, that will leave the measure of angle A. That leaves me with 46.99 degrees for the measure of angle A. All right, that just leaves side A that I need to find. Okay, side A is like right here, so I'm going to take the same ratio that I started with last time, which is sine 96 over 38. Okay, because we definitely had that pair. But this time, I'm going to set that equal to the sine of 46.99. over A, the opposite side. So a little cross multiplying will give me A sine 96, okay, using this diagonal, and then 38 sine 46.99 from this diagonal. Then I need to divide both sides by sine 96. So that is what I shall do, my friend. Sine 96. So these cancel each other out. So I'm just going to put all of this in my calculator off camera, and that will give me the length of side A. And I am getting 27.940 centimeters. And this was really 27.9399. So I had to round up to 940. And that's it. This is the answer for number 14. And that is the end of the video. I hope this has been helpful, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video.